Hello and good evening, everybody. This is R.S. Mallory in beautiful Austin, Texas. It is August 24th. And tonight's training is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be on duplication, whether or not you should be duplicating yourself or not. There's a lot of opinions in direct sales and network marketing and the e-commerce space about whether or not you should be duplicating in your team and making sure that they do everything that you do. Back in 2012, I wrote an article for the Network Marketing Magazine entitled Duplication. Can your team do what you do? And if they can't, are they supposed to do what you do? And the bottom line is that personally, my opinion is that we all come to the space of direct sales and network marketing with our own talents and our own knowledge base. And so the most important thing to do with the person who you're entertaining to invite onto your team is to recognize their special qualities that they have and what they will bring to the table, and understand that in order to help them become successful, that you will be able to tap into the things that make them qualified to do that too. Hi, Jim. It's nice to see you here. So again, we're talking about duplication, whether you're going to want to duplicate yourself or whether you're going to try to find out what qualities and what talents the other person has and what they bring to the table. The truth is that when we duplicate ourselves, that should not be the goal, because it's not a favorable thing to do. It's not true leadership for either success of the individual or for the team. Those of us who have been parents know that we should not want to make mini me's when we have our children. What instead we should do is we should prime them, and we should give them a good foundation, and we should strive not to have them duplicate who we are, but we want them to blossom and thrive and become who they are using the foundation that we give them. So we infuse them with building blocks that they will need to become successful in life. So success in parenting is really the same as growing a team. Great leaders like George Patton and George Washington, JFK, Ronald Reagan, even Jim Rohn, Colin Powell, all of these folks knew that there's one ingredient that you need to help people grow and blossom. And that one ingredient is recognition. People will kill for recognition over the generations and the years, and indeed in every historic time in the history of the world, we have seen people stepping over other people and doing things to gain recognition. So it's one of the big things that people are looking for. And if you become very good at recognizing other people and acknowledging their efforts and their strengths, then you can help them develop other basic skills that they might need for your particular endeavor. They will also bring to the table those activities, let them contribute, acknowledge them, and they will be a very important part of your team. Imagine if you had 40 people on your team and each one comes with a specialty. They can help teach the other people on the team that specialty. At the same time, they become the authority on your team for one particular instance. And then you have 39 other people who also bring their particular talents to the table. Now you've got, instead of 40 clones of you, you have 40 people who are bringing their strengths and their talents to the table, and they are also helping other people utilize and learn those skills as well. So when you need to meet a new prospect, the first thing that you should do is listen. I always have my notebook and a pad or a pen, and I take notes when I'm listening to people. It's not really an interview. but you have to develop the ability to listen to what they're saying. You ask the right questions and then listen. I ask people, what is their background? What special talents do they think they have that they bring to the table that have served them well in whatever it is that their profession has been up until this point? And then what you can do is pay particular attention to those details so that you might turn the tables around and you might let them know that the things that they're bringing to the table are going to be of tremendous value to them in this particular endeavor. Let them know that you're going to rely on them to share those talents with other people as well, and they'll become an intricate part of the team. Find out what are their circles of influence? What is their field of expertise? How many talents do they have? You know, years ago, I belonged to a synagogue, and we had back in New Jersey, and we shared with several of the churches in town. We shared a program for feeding the homeless people when it started snowing and it was freezing cold outside. I took over that program for some of the older ladies, and that was one of my talents, organizing and going to some of the kosher meat markets and stuff and telling them what we were doing for the community, and that I would like them to please donate hot meals so that we could feed these folks breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then give them a lunch to leave with the next day when they left. People in the congregation were absolutely amazed that I facilitated that. I really didn't have any special tricks up my sleeve to do that, but I was willing to go to these markets, explain to them the program that we were doing, and ask them if they would like to participate, and letting them know that in our newsletter that we would be giving them credit for all of the food and the support that they were giving us. They were recognized. They went out of their way every week to call us and say, do you need food for the homeless, even when it wasn't our turn to feed the homeless people? So people will bend over backwards when you acknowledge who they are, what they are, the talents that they have, and their expertise. Interpret in your mind how the skills that somebody brings to the table will lend itself to your team and the opportunity that you have. And the maybe somebody is an expert on dieting. Maybe they've been in 15 or 20 different diet programs. Maybe they have a background in it. Maybe they're married to somebody who is a nutritionist. So they have special talents and special knowledge that they bring to the table. They can share that with the team. If you have somebody that you're talking with on the phone that's a prospect, use the other members of your team who are more qualified than you. When you do a three-way call with somebody, in my 30 years, I have never only used my sponsor or my upline successful people. I usually go down into my team and try to include somebody who has a better expertise than I do. It recognizes them. It makes them feel that they're contributing, that they are valued. And when people feel valued and that they're contributing and you recognize them, they grow themselves. And as they're growing, they become more successful. Let that prospect know that you recognize certain qualities that they're bringing to the table and show them how they would benefit from that, and also the team. In other words, what I'm saying is be really inclusive, even with your prospects, whether they're going to be a customer because they love our products or they're going to be a business partner. You always want to make people feel valued. And you always want to make people feel that they're a part of something that is bigger than them and that they can contribute to it and feel good about themselves. Another thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that you have developed some simple systems of your own that people can follow, even in the construct of the particular values and talents that they're bringing to the table on their journey of success within your team, rather than feeling that they're just a revenue stream for you and for other people. Make sure your systems are simple and that they're varied and they're flexible. What do I mean by that? not everybody can follow the same steps and do the same thing. You know, everybody is different. I was a teacher for 25 years, and what I noticed most of all was all the children in my classrooms year after year, they weren't all the same. They didn't learn all the same. They all had different learning curves. Some of the kids could memorize things. Some of the kids needed to write it down. Some of the kids needed to read it and then write it down. Some of the kids needed to hear it and go over it and over it and over it. So those are all different learning curves. Take the time to try to figure out the learning curve of your new person on your team, because when you do that, you will be able to include them in what they're doing and train them faster, and they will become a cohesive part and a valuable part of your team. And again, always try to include people in what you're doing. Now, I mentioned systems. We at Govee are on a wonderful team, and we have several gals that are internet experts. It boggles my mind. I've been on the internet now for about 30 years. When it was just beginning, that was when my son went off to university, and we both got our first PCs. And of course, we've come a long way since then. In my 30 years in home-based businesses and working at home, I have always picked up the phone, spoken with people, developed relationships with them one-on-one personally, shared with them the things that I was looking for, the characteristics, and asking them what they brought to the table, because I always want people to know that they're going to be a valued and cohesive part of the team. And in doing so, people always respond in like kind. If you want people to grow into leaders and create something, then you have to have some kind of a little plan or a little system. So over the years, we found that systems and plans are different. Now we have a couple of gals on our team that head up our team and are doing wonderful videos for us and trainings in the groups that we have on Facebook and social media. It's there, the trainings are there to teach you how to do social media, how to use a testimonial group, how to use another group, this group, a product group, things like that. I never did that. And again, I'm an old horse learning new tricks. And you know what? They absolutely work. When I first put my first person, they dragged me kicking and screaming to put somebody in a testimonial group that we have. And that what I realized was I have an exceptional memory, so I could tell people about all the different products because I have an interest in it, and that's my expertise. But maybe Jim Dwyer couldn't do that. But Jim could certainly invite people to the testimony group. And you know what? They just wouldn't hear the 4 or 5 or 10 stories that I'm giving them or talking about for the product. They can read hundreds of testimonies from men, from women, about children, about adults, about seniors, about people going through menopause, about just people from all walks of life across the globe. And when they do that, I then saw the power of that testimonial group, because it's not just me learning 4 or 5 different things and sharing that with people or calling on my teammates to do that, as we're discussing right now, but there's an unlimited amount of testimonies there. I'll give you an example. I have a wonderful customer. I didn't know this lady. I invited her. She contacted me and I invited her into the group. 4 days later, she signed herself up and she buys the big package. It's a $159 package every single month. She's losing weight. She's anti-aging with the glutathione, and she's enjoying the POW as well. And I sent her a welcome letter as a customer. And I keep in touch with her at least once a week to find out how she's doing. She started contacting me and asking me, well, I read about the harmonic card and the medallion. When am I going to be able to buy them? And I explained to her that we have limited time offers. It's not available all the time, and it's on a first come, first served basis. She contacted me every week for 4 weeks. She wanted a harmonic card and she wanted a medallion. And at one point I said to myself, I'm going to lose her. I really need to practice good customer service. And I have to find her a medallion and a card because we are not having them we hoped that we were going to have them in a few days. I mentioned it to her. I said, I do have another distributor that bought some extra ones. I sold all my extra ones. So give me a day to get back to you. I came back to her and I said to her, you can either wait for corporate to come out with a limited time offer, or I have another distributor who has a couple of sets. How many sets did you want? And this is what he's charging for them. And it was the same price that corporate was charging with the shipping included. So I gave her a choice. Did she want to wait for corporate, or did she want me to make this marriage? Now, if she would purchase this stuff from my distributor who has it, I'm not going to make any money on it. I'm not making a commission. But on the flip side, I'm helping my distributor make the money back from his investment because he purchased several 4-packs. So when I presented to her, I said, you can either wait for corporate. It will probably be in 10 days or 2 weeks. I'm not sure. But I have a distributor and he will be able to mail it to you right away if you'd like to send him the money. I'll make an introduction and you take care of it yourself. She said, thank you very much, with a lot of gratitude. He mailed it to her the next day. 3 days later, he actually sent it priority mail. She got it in a day. She wrote me back, and she will always be a customer because she was very grateful that I obtained this for her and she didn't have to wait. And my distributor is very grateful because I helped put money back in his pocket and reclaim the profit that he intended on making with these 2 products. So always keep in mind, it's not about the money that you're making in whatever business you're doing. It's about how you're treating your teammates, how you're respecting them, how you're recognizing them, and your customers as well. And you're doing things for them. And when you do things like that, I'll never forget, I read Colin Powell's book on leadership, Leading Leaders to Leadership, I think it was called. And he was a fine general. And what his premise in the whole book was, treat all my soldiers as if they're human beings, because you know what? They are human beings, and acknowledge them. And General Patton also, when he was in World War II, he would go through the troops on the fields and stuff, and he would acknowledge people. He had a little different personality, but he would acknowledge people, good, bad, or indifferent, but he acknowledged them and he recognized them when they needed to be recognized. And when you do that, people blossom and they expand, and they're more willing to learn things that they don't know, and they're more willing to become a cohesive part of your team and contribute to the team because you're expressing gratitude for what they bring to the table. And they know that they now know that this is a team effort. So again, I'll go back to recognition is something that is very, very important. It will help people develop into leaders themselves, because as with our children, they will emulate the things that we do. You know, we would say to our children, don't do what I say, do what I do. Or don't do what I do what I say. So they will emulate either one of them when we really want them to do what we're telling them to do, not what we're doing ourselves. But children are very astute. They watch what we do. And if our activities are very different from the things we're telling them to do, they know something is amiss, and they're going to do what they see us doing, not what we're telling them to do. The same thing when you're developing a team. You're asking your team members to contribute, to grow, to be generous to other people, to value other people's skills, and to incorporate them into the team so that we can all work cohesively as one team. So it's about leadership, it's about recognition, and it's about acknowledging people. I was a single mother, and I was a teacher. So whenever my little boy did something at home, I would always say to him, great job. And I know that you did the same thing with your children. And I know, James, you're raising your grandson, and I've heard you many, many times acknowledge him and tell him that he's doing a great job too. And when we acknowledge people and we express gratitude for the things that we see that they're doing that are good, they thrive and they want to do better and they want to do more of it. So have simple little systems to plug them into to develop basic skills. And we are very fortunate because we're on a team that has that in our Facebook group, the Go Time Social group. And that has a bunch of files in it. It has a bunch of guides in it, which are how-to guides. If you don't know how to do something, if you want to learn about a product, if you don't think that you can do a presentation, then you can go there and you can grab one of those videos, play it over and over and over again, and you can listen to it. Here's a secret. Nobody knows what you don't know. Jim Dwyer is an expert on heavy equipment. He's taught me that when he uses the fuel tablets in them and he puts them in the heavy equipment before he rents it out to people, that he bills by the hour, that he'll get perhaps another 2, 3, 4 hours of runtime for that piece of equipment. So instead of getting paid, and I don't know if this is the right figure, Jim, but instead of getting paid $400 an hour for 4 hours, he might get 7 hours or 8 hours out of it. So he will get another $1,200 on top of the first 4 hours from it for that piece of equipment. I wouldn't know that because I don't have a construction company and I certainly don't know about that stuff. But Jim has shared that with me and he's on the team. And now I have that information and I can share that with other people. In fact, Jim, the little video you did about cleaning up the valves and stuff, right, share that with 4 different people. So thank you very much. It makes me look like an expert, but it's your expertise.
You are now.
So this is what this is all about. When you open up yourself and you factor out your ego, and it's not about you. It's not about you being a leader of a team. We have bunches of people on our collective team that all have expertise. Sometimes I call on Carrie Marshall. She has a wonderful way about her, and she's got 2 little girls. I think they're 7 and 9 now. We have Angel Wall. She's a peer of Carrie's. They're both very successful internet marketers for the last 6 years. Her children are grown. She started out very young. So she has a different way about her because her children are out of the house now. So her perceptions are different. We have Rebecca Oakes. Rebecca is also a teacher in Canada. She's a lady in her maybe late 40s, early 50s. And her children are out of the house as well. But she is a school teacher. She taught older children. I taught younger children. So when I teach people and I grow my team and I grow people, I tend to make sure that they understand things on a 3rd grade level. When I write my emails that you receive and you receive recordings of these trainings, I try to express myself on a 9-year-old level. I'm not demeaning anybody, particularly you, but I know from experience that if a 9-year-old can grasp something and they can teach it back to me, that anybody in this world can understand the things that I'm teaching, the lessons that I'm teaching. I bring that experience and that expertise into my businesses. Carrie and Angel might not bring that, but they're fabulous at creating systems. So I tap into their expertise and I use my expertise to help all the people that I touch and I'm very close to. Rebecca, as I mentioned, is a very analytical personality and she teaches teenagers. So her approach to teaching kids is very different than mine. I taught 1st, 2nd, and 3rd graders. So I teach on a 9th grade level. She teaches, she breaks things down on a scientific basis. So I know if I have a lawyer or an accountant or a physician or an actuarial person or an insurance person, and they're all detailed people, I will go and I will fetch a video that Rebecca has done. And she does the same presentations that Carrie and Angel and I do. And go and pull one of the videos from each of us for our coffee, for instance, our smart coffee. I do it I have the same presentation, the same PowerPoint that they all have. But when you look at all 4 of them, and they're only about 15 minutes each, but when you look at all 4 of them, you can see that we're catering to, we will be appealing to different personalities. So always try to match the personality of the person with the information you're going to give them and feed them. You personally, when you're talking to a prospective business partner or a customer, just want to keep yourself open. Always be thinking about what they can bring to the table, even as a customer, because many customers become very successful business partners. They will take our products. If they are taking WOW, which is our no diet weight loss product, they become walking billboards. Even with our glutathione, which is an anti-aging product, they take it in conjunction with that, but some people just take the glutathione for anti-aging. They'll notice their skin is better. They'll notice people don't think they're an old crotchety person anymore, that their skin is radiant. People have said to me after about a month on glutathione, when I was doing these trainings, 4 people called me one night and they said, "What did you do? You look," and I said, "Why? What did I do? Did I make a mistake?" And they said, "No, you look fabulous. We were on your training and you just look so different. We know you didn't get a facelift. What happened?" What happened was I was taking glutathione. So then I realized that the glutathione is actually working internally in me. So I'm becoming a walking billboard. You have a glow about you tonight, Anne. I know you're taking our products, and I remember seeing you months and months ago. I can tell you, whichever products it is that you're taking, it's working. You have a sparkle in your eye. You have a glow about your skin. And you indeed are becoming a walking billboard. Jim is also taking some of the wellness products, but his passion is the fuel tablets. But I can tell you, I actually met Jim in person with his grandson back in January. Jim, you're looking terrific.
Thank you. I'm trying to get back in here.
Yeah, no, you're here. You're fine.
Okay, I can't see you.
That's okay. You can hear, right?
Yeah, I've lost 30 pounds with the Zoom, with the WOW.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
But I can see on your face too. Your face is much more relaxed. You have
Right.
you're much more youthful than you were. And of course, when you meet people in person, sometimes it's a shock, because when you see people on the internet or you talk to them on the phone, you think you know who and what they look like and who they are. And indeed, you do know their personalities. But when you see them in person, sometimes it's a shock. When I met Damar in January, and Jim, I think you'll confirm this for me, he looked like a beached whale. He had a big old belly that looked like he was carrying quadruplets.
Yep.
And he really did. I took a picture with him at our ribbon cutting, and I was appalled at what I saw. It wasn't that I was looking at a beached whale and he looked like he was carrying quadruplets. I saw me with him, and I saw a spare tire around my midriff, and my face was all puffy. And indeed, I was almost 30 pounds heavier. I didn't realize that it snuck up on me, just the way it has with everybody else during the pandemic, for one reason or another, plus which, my age is creeping up on me. And because of the pandemic, we were all sequestered. We didn't go outside. We didn't do exercise. We didn't run. We didn't walk. We didn't go to the gym. And I just didn't know what to do. I was besides myself. So we were able to order some of the WOW and the glutathione, and I started that. And I don't know if you folks have seen my pictures from Memphis. We went to our team's Super Saturday in Memphis. We were there for 3 days. Smiley was there, and Rico was there, and David and Cheryl Wall were there, and a whole bunch of other people were there that were not on our team. And I was wearing a vintage dress because I collect vintage dresses. And I was 30 pounds lighter. And I took a picture with Burke, who also lost 30 pounds. And you know what? That was the lady that I remembered what I should be. So now I'm thrilled. I have a reputation in the industry of any time I would go training or go to Europe and do meetings and stuff, or go on the MLM cruises, I would always wear my vintage dresses because I've spent a lifetime collecting them. I happen to love them. And nobody would ever be wearing the same thing I was. But when I went in January to Salt Lake City, I was very unhappy because I found one dress out of 30 dresses that I could pour myself into. And Jim, you were at the party that night. It was a flapper party, wasn't it?
Yep, yep.
1920s party. This dress was not exactly 1920s, it was 1930s, but it was the only dress that fit me. And I felt very uncomfortable in the dress. But because I'm taking advantage of the WOW, I am also, and the glutathione, I'm reversing my weight loss, the weight, and losing weight. I am also reversing that age that I felt I gained when I gained that weight as well. And I'm not shy about sharing that story with other people. So when you're talking with people and you're listening, and write down and jot down what tools and what valuable characteristics and what talents they're bringing to the table, feed it back to them. Let them know. Try to emulate it. If they're a good storyteller, if they're telling you a story about their life, let them know that what they're doing is a talent that they will be able to use as they're building their business. You'll make them feel great. It will make them feel valuable. They will feel that you have recognized them and you have acknowledged them. And just like our children, when we're raising them in the house, when you do that, people blossom and thrive. And they're willing to learn more, and they're willing to take their talents, and they're willing to contribute them with the team. And a team of business owners is like a family. And I'll tell you right now that one of the things that I noticed about Golby when I joined was I made it a point to talk with Lance and Burke and Angel Rodriguez. And Jim, that's why we went, isn't it? That's why we went to Salt Lake City, so we could meet these folks, shake their hands, look at them in the eye, and really take a measure of who they were. And we did that, and we came away very satisfied because we all came away, those of us that were there, and we catapulted our businesses, and they are growing. Make no mistake about it, we each have our different talents. We each build our businesses our own way. The girls have provided us a structure and simple systems to use that we can plug everybody into. I never insist that everybody has to do it online, that they have to use the testimonial groups, that they have to use the other groups and the guides. I tell them that it's there. I extol the virtues of it. I tell them how it will indeed help them build their businesses, but I also reiterate their talents and the qualities that they're bringing. I never want people to forget that I appreciate the talents that they bring to the table. I'm very blessed and fortunate. I have all of you and other people on my team that teach me things on a daily basis, and that helps me become a better marketer and a better leader. And it helps you become a better marketer and a better leader too. For those folks that have tuned in to listen tonight, we'd like to thank you for joining us. We are a family. Please get back to the person who invited you to listen to this training. We hope that you find some value in it and it helps you build your businesses. And I'd like to thank you, Ann, and thank you, Jim, for participating tonight, and say good night to everybody and have a great week. Bye-bye.
Thank you much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Ann, thank you.